Hey guys, Chandler here, back on my channel Alternate Journey, and today we are going to be discussing about a topic that has enormously grown in the past couple of years, and that is whether or not transitioning is actually a new form of conversion therapy. So, yeah. Today I'm going to be reacting to Arielle Scarcella. If you guys don't know, she's a YouTuber who is a lesbian. In the past, she just made like mainly videos about lesbians and stuff like that, how it's okay to be a lesbian, and just like tips for lesbians and stuff like that, which is, you know, great and stuff. Recently though, a lot of her videos are very turf-like. Personally, I don't really watch her channel just because I've heard a lot of shit that she has said, and it's just so transphobic without her like realizing that she's transphobic. She like gives excuses of her transphobia and the defense for women's rights and everything. So today we are going to be discussing about her recent video of her reacting to Elliot Page. Elliot Page is an actor on the Umbrella Academy that recently came out as a transgender male. Slash non-binary. They go by he, him, and they, them pronouns. He's an amazing actor and everything, and basically she kind of had a problem with it, basically because he used to identify as a lesbian and stuff like that, and he was a great icon of lesbian youth. And yeah, I'm going to be reacting to her video, some of her tweets, and also a few of J.K. Rowling's tweets as well on this subject matter. Please do not send any hate to any of these individuals. I'm just reacting to their content and everything like that because they are such high voices on this matter and everything, so I'm using what they're saying for educational purposes. I'm sending no hate at all to these individuals, and I do not wish that you guys send any hate to these individuals. Yes, you have the right to be mad at what they are saying, and yes, you have the right to voice your own opinion, but if you feel obligated to actually really say anything, please leave personal attacks out of the conversation. It's just not right in any way, and yeah. So, let's begin. First, the first problem I have is that Arielle immediately dead names Elliot within the title. And it's just like, you don't need to dead name someone. Like, it's just so stupid how people are still dead naming people, especially when they're a celebrity. His picture right there in the thumbnail, they obviously know who you're talking about. He posted a letter on all his social media outlets about him coming out as trans, and he's like, I'm Elliot now and everything. It's just like, you don't need to dead name him. That's obviously, like, you don't need to be like, Elliot Page, formerly known as, and then like, say his dead name. That doesn't make any sense. And we don't need to do that for normal people as well. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, that was never really who they were. And like, also it doesn't matter anymore because he is now Elliot. Okay, let's just start.
We did it. We lost another lesbian, guys. I was filming content for my OnlyFans page. Subscribe if you haven't already. I was filming content for my OnlyFans page, and I got flooded with messages from you guys telling me that the person formerly known as Page is now going by Elliot Page. They now go by he, they pronouns. They came out as trans. Let's see what's up.
Well, guys, we lost another lesbian. It's not, that's just so weird. Like, it's not like a numbers game. It's not like when Elliot came out as trans, we're all like, yes, we gained another trans man. We're here, we're rising, we're taking on the lesbians. Like, no, we're not doing that. That's just so weird. And like, the fact that like, you're just thinking about yourself with him coming out is kind of like weird and selfish. It's not, he's not trying to devalue the term of lesbian and stuff like that. He's just saying like, that's not who he is. Because he's a guy, well, or a non-binary. He doesn't identify with the female form in any regard, so therefore he cannot back behind the term lesbian because he is therefore not a woman. So it's like, wouldn't you be happy that like he's not devaluing the term of a lesbian? Because like, he's not a woman. So it's like, wouldn't you be happy that like he knows that and he's not devaluing the term of lesbian and saying that like that men can love women better?
Hi friends, I want to share with you that I am trans. My pronouns are he and they, and my name is Elliot. I can't begin to express how remarkable it feels to finally love who I am enough to pursue my authentic self. I love that I am trans, and I love that I am queer, and the more I hold myself close and fully embrace who I am, the more I dream, the more my heart grows, and the more I thrive. Thank you for reading this, all my love, Elliot. My response is basically this. If he is truly trans, good for fucking him. There is still a huge issue at large. And that is, why are we losing all of our lesbians? Why are we not seeing this trend as frequently with gay men?
Why are you questioning? He literally said that he was trans. You don't have to be like, if he is trans, then good for him. Like, that's just so degrading. He told you that he's trans. This isn't like an if-what situation. he is trans, freaking respect his pronouns and his identity. Like, don't be like, well, if you are trans, then okay, then whatever. But like, where's our lesbians? Lesbians are still around. It's not like you're a dying race of any kind or anything like that. Like, what? There are more lesbians than there are trans people still. It's not like we're doing this race of trying to gain more numbers and stuff.
Said this to Elliot on Twitter. Much respect for the Elliot Page for coming out as trans. I still wonder though, where are all the lesbians going? Two things can be true at once. One, some people are actually trans. Two, some lesbians are internally misogynistic and want to be anything other than a woman. And I stand by that. Now,
it's so funny how, like, whenever she makes a video like this, she gets confused or like, oh, people are just too sensitive when she's being, like, when they call her a TERF or transphobic and stuff like that. And it's like, it's just so funny because she's like, I'm accepting of trans individuals. But it's like, you can't be accepting of trans individuals if you just mark it as like a safe point of being like, I'm accepting, look, I stated it, so I'm accepting, and then just like totally attack the trans community and being like, you're taking our lesbians, you're making them convert and everything like that to be straight, and it's like you're making people think that like being a woman is so bad that they have to transition into a man. And it's like, no. Not in any regard. The lesbians you are losing were wrongly identifying themselves as lesbians. They were never lesbians to begin with. It's still not 100% acceptable to be questioning your identity. So when people are just like, it's tough going through the wrong puberty and stuff like that, and just like not knowing the vocabulary and the definitions of things and stuff like that, and what gender actually is, and just like a lot, it's socially acceptable though to question your sexuality. So some people get it mixed construed of like, oh, I like these certain aspects and everything like that, maybe it's just because like my sexuality, and they hide behind the label of being gay or lesbian and everything as a self-defense mechanism and everything, because it is more acceptable to be lesbian, gay, or bisexual than it is to be trans. So yeah, you're not losing them and everything like that. You're finally having people raise that shield and exposing who they truly are. And that's brave as hell.
I've made at least 2 videos about this topic in the past, but for those of you who haven't seen those videos, I'm going to give you a little TLDR. There have been studies recently in the last 5 years that followed high school teenagers. One of them showed that biological women are coming out more as anything other than lesbians. Another study showed that people that are coming out as transgender are more likely to be accepted and protected among their peers and the educational staff. In the same breath, we are also seeing tons of biological females transition medically and socially, and then later on regretting it. Tons of detransitioners that are biological females. We are not seeing this happen nearly as much with males. And of course, for even questioning where are all the lesbians going, I get called transphobic. Somebody wrote the lesbians are still here. They just don't like you because you're a transphobic piece of shit. All right, there.
So let's look at that graph just so we can really analyze what she was showing to us. Yes, she was saying that it's like showing that like more women are identifying with trans labels / non-binary labels. So let's look at this graph and everything. So this was from 2009 to 2016. Yes, there is an increase and everything, but the thing is like, this isn't saying that more people, that these are actually people transitioning. These are just saying that these are females. Well, like, it's wrong to even say that these people are females. Okay, if you're gonna say something, just say AFAB, like assigned female at birth, because if you're just calling them females, you're saying like their identity doesn't really matter and it's a piece of shit, and like, no, you're a female. So let's get rid of that first off. So these AFABs are identifying as trans labels and everything like that has grown increasingly. This graph just shows that more people are being referred to gender clinics. This doesn't mean that these are actually people going on hormones and getting surgeries. So she was wrong for even stating that, first off. These are just people being referred to gender clinics in order to get help and to actually talk to a professional about gender identities, and just like about their, what's going on with them and everything like that, seeing if it is actually gender dysphoria. And also, looking at this website, I've deep down deeper into what this is and everything, and it's just like, they show other graphs from other websites called Transgender Trend and everything like that, and just like, basically saying like that, like this is all a trend, that trans people, yes, exist, but they're saying that it's not as widely is of what people are making it as, which is kind of true. But the thing is like, numbers have increased just because it's more socially acceptable to be trans. So of course, since it's becoming more acceptable, you're gonna see an increase of people identifying with these labels because they were always there to begin with. Like, come on, it's just like basically when being gay was becoming socially acceptable, there was a rise and increase of gay individuals. and everything like that. And people thought like, oh my god, the gay agenda, they're taking all away our women, making them lesbians, and it was like, people are just so stupid. Once they see an increase, they're just like, they immediately panic. Is when you see an increase in something, you're just realizing the true numbers of how many of those individuals actually exist. It's not just a weird rise and everything like that. But also looking at this website even more. So what this website really is, it's Gender Health Inquiry, a resource and community for LGBT people who want to promote the long-term physical and mental health of gender dysphoric youth. Okay. What brings us here? More and more children, teens, and young adults are being diagnosed with gender dysphoria, affirmed as transgender and are medically transitioning. Yes, because it's becoming more socially acceptable, so therefore, yes, more people are coming out and actually getting the medical treatment that they need. Since gender dysphoria can be fluid in some young people, inappropriate medical transitionings are happening as a result of the move towards a gender-affirmative model. In this model, the gender identity of the young person is immediately validated. Social and medical transition, even in minors, is supported and treated as a human right, rather than treating gender dysphoria as a mental health issue, where medical treatment should be avoided if possible. So you're telling me that, okay, yes, you can be trans, but you have to suffer so much and so long, and medical treatment should be the last resort. When in fact, it's been proven time and time again that HRT, hormone replacement therapy, literally saves lives. Trans surgeries literally saves lives because it literally is the only solution for most individuals for their dysphoria. They have dysphoria for a reasoning, and those medical solutions are there to alleviate that dysphoria. This isn't just about hating your body and things that you're gonna just like socially change in order to be more accepting your body. It's not like, oh, you need to meditate and do yoga and like find self-love again. That's not what gender dysphoria is. It's literally the state of being born in the wrong body. There's a part of your brain that is actually developed of the opposite sex that you were born as and everything. That's why you have gender dysphoria, and it's like, this does not match my body. And it's just been scientifically proven again that your brain is actually developed in utero before your actual sexual reproductive parts. And that is why some people are trans. So me, yes, some parts of my brain are actually male. That's why I feel such a disconnect with this form that I was born as and everything. That is why I have been on hormone replacement therapy for, what, almost a year and a half now, which is amazing. It has literally saved my life. This was literally the only option. If I could not get on testosterone, I wouldn't be here. And that is literally no joke. A lot of people say like, you're just exaggerating it and everything. It's just like you're making it as a bigger thing than what it really is. But it's like, no, that's seriously what it is. If I was alone on a desert island, I would still have dysphoria. It has nothing to do with the social aspect of others seeing me. It's me seeing me and knowing that this was not what I was supposed to be. So that is why I transitioned and everything like that. Even if I was on a desert island, I would still be dysphoric as fuck and needing, you know, my testosterone and surgeries and stuff. While this may have some benefits for trans-identified youth, false positives are inevitable and regret rates are likely to rise. This will disproportionately affect gay, lesbian, and bisexual youth, who are more likely to experience gender dysphoria than the general population. There are also health consequences for young people who medically transition regardless of how stable their trans identification may be. In addition to the ideology around how society should view gender, often promoted by individuals supporting these social and medically industry changes, is affecting society in ways that many argue are not all positive. First off, there is no like real test of being like you're trans. It's not like we do like this little blood test and being like, oh wow, yes, you're trans. There you go. Okay, here's your hormones now. That's not how it is. Like, you go through an actual, like, really detailed assessment with an actual trained professional on gender identity issues. Like, people that haven't gone through the process just doesn't know of actually how long it is and how many sessions you go through before you even, like, discuss about going on testosterone. Like, the thing is, like, these assessments are very detailed because they go through every aspect of your life. It's like, just like any other therapy and stuff like that, you talk about your childhood and like, other aspects of your life, just because they want to make sure if you're questioning your gender based off, like, your expressions and stuff like that, because basically your gender expressions does not mean that you have dysphoria in any sense and, like, have to question your identity at all, just because, like, you like more masculine thing, even though you were like an AFAB and stuff like that, that doesn't mean that you are automatically a trans man in any regard. But also they assess things of being like of trauma and stuff like that. They talk about that because they actually do transition because of trauma. For example, with AFABs and stuff like that, transitioning and identifying as a trans man label. When they transition because of trauma, it's usually because they were attacked by a male sometime in their life, and they just like want to be an equal towards male and everything like that, just to get over the discomfort that they were once used by a male and everything like that. And it's just like, yeah, it's a really sad scenario when that happens, but those cases are rare, and especially if you get an actual professional to talk about your situations, then those rates do go down of those people actually wrongfully transitioning. So yeah, this chart is just like, all it's saying is that people are being referred to gender clinics, which is honestly a good thing. I don't know why she was using this as a bad thing, but then again, she was saying that these were people actually transitioning, so it's like, stop using data and saying wrong things about it and everything like that just to prove a point, because that's not actually what the data was saying. And also the website that you got the data from is transphobic as fuck too. So it's like, how can you like say you're not transphobic and being like, oh, these are the facts, when you're taking facts from a transphobic website? Little bias.
I think my friend Claire on Twitter nailed it, and I want to read her tweet because I think it sums it up perfectly. I find it depressing how many young lesbians now feel that because they do not perform or feel invested in conventional femininity, they can no longer be women. And so they shift from identifying as lesbian women to straight men. Compulsory heterosexuality all over again. To her point, no, we are not saying that we don't think Elliot is actually trans.
You don't think that Elliot is not trans, then why are you using his coming out story for your backbone of this conspiracy? Like, you can make this video without Elliot's name attached to it. You don't even have to explain like how he identified as a lesbian before and everything like that. You can just say many individuals have and everything like that, because yes, that does happen, because first, it's socially more acceptable to question your sexuality than it is with gender and stuff like that, so therefore that's why that scenario happens. So if you're not attacking Elliot and saying that you're not being transphobic, then don't have his name attached to your goddamn fucking video, to the title, and in the goddamn thumbnail. I get it to get views, but like if you're trying to be not as seen as so transphobic, don't fucking do those stupid things then.
What we are saying is that there is a huge spike in biological females transitioning medically and socially. The fact that it's mostly about 90% females is a red flag for us.
It is not 90% females. I don't know where she got that statistic. It's like literally what, like 60-40, 60% AFABs and then 40% AMABs. If anything, maybe she's saying that we see 90% on social media of AFABs transitioning and everything like that. That makes a little more sense, but it is because it is socially more acceptable to be a trans man than it is to be a trans woman in many regards. I mean, hell, society can't even accept a man wearing a dress. I mean, come on. Like, if trans women sees that we can't even accept, like, say, Harry Styles wearing a dress, like, that has such an impact on the freaking social media and stuff like that. Everyone blew up about bringing manly men back and everything, how we're devaluing our men and everything, and how like this is not right, this is not human, this is like a mental case, that everyone's going crazy and shit like that, like this is stupid. It's like, if trans women see how we react to that, then why would they come out? So many people are like, why are you throwing away your privilege? You were born with cis male privilege, like why would you throw that away? Because they weren't really men. Of course, I'm not saying that trans women is the same as men wearing dresses. Obviously it's a different scenario and stuff like that, but it's just like really like, it kind of proves my point, like why would trans women come out if they see society attacking on men wearing dresses? Not even gay men wearing dresses. Like Harry Styles wasn't even coming out as gay, bisexual, or anything, like he was just wearing a dress. When a man shows off slightly more feminine traits as coined from society, they are bullied and like viewed as weak individuals and basically seen as a weak link in society. So yeah, no wonder why there are more AFABs coming out than there are AMABs coming out as transgender or non-binary individuals. It's not rocket science here, it makes sense considering the society that
we are saying that yes, obviously trans men do exist, and yes, obviously trans men transition to hopefully alleviate or cure their gender dysphoria, and it has nothing to do with internalized misogyny. We know that trans people are real and trans people exist. What we are saying is that there are also a lot of people that are medically and socially transitioning or just simply identifying as anything other than women because of internalized misogyny or because of internalized lesbophobia. Oh my god, look at that, TERFs and start cis shaming is trending on Twitter at the moment. And these people that are participating in these trends are wondering why the rate of LGBT acceptance is down. They are wondering why so many people, I think 73 million people, voted for Trump, because they're sick of the bullshit. They wonder why creators like myself, Blair White, and a few others constantly create content to damage control, because honestly, we are afraid to lose our rights and even more so our sanity.
Damage control? Whoa, like what? People identifying as who they truly are is damaging society? What? And first off, the rates against the LGBTQ plus community has gone up because of the fact that Trump was our president. If we're gonna have a leader that is so outright homophobic and transphobic, of course individuals who are truly homophobic and transphobic are gonna be able to voice their opinions more, because they're like, hey, our president's talking bullshit about it, so I can too, and everything. So it's like, obviously that's not surprising at all. We were expecting those rates to increase since 2016. That's not bizarre to us in any regard. We expected that. We knew that the next 4 years was going to be a shit show for our community. She keeps on saying that trans individuals harms rights for women. So someone commented, trans men and women don't affect anyone directly but themselves. And then she replied, not true. Redefining what a man and woman is affects everyone. She keeps on saying that trans individuals affects the rights of women and everything, which is not necessarily true. If anything, people are using trans individuals as a shield of like the homophobia and stuff like that, and being like, oh, we're not giving these rights and everything like that because of this reasoning and stuff like that. Don't blame the trans community for these homophobic and transphobic individuals. Make them accountable for their actions and the things that they are putting in place. You're not going to lose all your rights just because trans exist. That doesn't make any sense. And we are not redefining what men or women are. If anything, we are opening up the broad sense of what men and women are. It's not just your basic 8th grade biology that we learned, that XX chromosome and XY chromosomes. There are actually many different combinations of chromosomes. I don't even know my chromosomes and everything like that, and neither do you, just based off looking at me.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with not feeling like the other girls. And in fact, that's totally normal. However, there is something obviously wrong in how many girls are now identifying as non-binary. And let's not forget how many lesbians are now identifying as non-binary and queer. I mean, imagine coming out as a lesbian today. Imagine saying, hey, I'm same-sex attracted.
A lot of people do, though. Someone in my family recently did that. Why are they trying to make it as so bizarre as what, like, it is and everything like that? Like, no, people still come out as lesbians these days. People aren't ashamed of being women and everything. Yes, there's probably like a few individuals that are and everything, but like that's what they do. They do fear-mongering and everything like that to make it seem as a bigger issue than what it is. They like grab onto these few stories and just like drag it to death and use as much information as they can about it and make an outburst on society about that one story, like those few stories, and be like, this is a huge issue, this is happening everywhere. Freaking trans men are ruining lesbians and stuff like that. They're taking all the lesbians away, and it's like, no. People are afraid to be women now. There's no more women in the world. There's no more lesbians in the world. There's just men and non-binary individuals. That's not the case. That's just like, no. That's not the case at all. It's just like, oh, it's fear-mongering. It's basically making a bigger scenario of what something is and everything like that, just to fear people and being like, this is an attack on women, this is what they're doing, they're taking away our rights and everything, and saying that being a woman is wrong. When in any regard, no one is doing that and everything. Trans women are just saying that they are women, and trans men are just saying that they are men. Because they are. If anything, they were just using certain labels and everything like that during their questioning phase and stuff like that, or because it's more socially acceptable to be called those labels at that time, because, yeah, they didn't want to be part of a hate crime. And like she did mention earlier that, like, apparently in a study they were saying that schools were being more protective of trans individuals, which, like, honestly, my school really wasn't. They didn't really have any, like, policies or anything like that, but then again, I graduated in 2016, so things have changed probably, but isn't that good that they're being more protective of trans students? Not saying that they're devaluing, lesbian or gay or bisexual students in any regard, it's just that trans individuals are higher risk of being part of a hate crime nowadays. So, yeah, when something has a higher rate of being endangered, wouldn't you put like a little more resources on protecting those individuals? It just makes sense and everything. Not saying that they're just like devaluing lesbians and gay individuals in any sense. It's just like, you're not being really attacked. But if they are being attacked, yes, the school's gonna step in. It's not like they're like, oh, you deal with it on your own, who cares, we're gonna just focus on our trans students right now, you guys, yeah, just, you guys,
I know it sounds really crazy, but doing that today is really controversial and in fact would get you a lot of hate from the LGBT community. What gets me about celebrities such as Elliot Page, formerly known as isn't that they're coming out as non-binary, but that there is definitely a trend that we're seeing here, right? A lot of girls are identifying as non-binary. Why is that? Why is it controversial to say that? A lot of girls who happen to be lesbians would rather opt out of calling themselves a lesbian and call themselves queer.
That's not necessarily true. In fact, didn't Arielle had a video about like non-binary individuals calling themselves lesbians and how she said like that was an attack on lesbians and stuff like that? There are some non-binary individuals that still use the term as lesbians and everything like that, just because like, in society they are being perceived more as women and they are attracted to women, so therefore like being seen by society, a woman and a woman, that's a lesbian couple, right? But no, Arielle had a big problem with that and she made a video on that, didn't she? Like, what? Like, they keep on saying that, like, they'd rather be coined as anything but a lesbian or even a woman in any regard. But in fact, there are still some people that do identify with those labels and stuff like that and questioning their gender or actually identifying with
their true gender. Which is really just for the inclusion of other people. So why is it? Why is it so bad and so wrong to say that you're a woman? Why is it so bad and wrong to say that you're a lesbian today?
Bad to say that you're trans. Like, we can be talking about this subject all day, honestly. Like, you can keep on saying this shit, but it's like, okay, then why is it so bad to be called trans? Also, who was that guy? I don't even know that guy. And, like, he was just saying, like, what exactly Arielle was saying. So, like, why did she even put that in there? Like, maybe to be like, oh, and other YouTubers are talking about this too. And he's a man, so you should listen to... Like, that's... Is that why she did it? Because it's like, oh, here's a man saying the same things that I'm saying. So therefore, I'm not crazy. I'm not being like an extreme feminist or anything like that. And it's just, first off, this isn't being a feminist in my regard because like feminism is like about equal rights and shit like that. So it's like, whatever. But okay, maybe she linked him in the video. Okay, who is this? Mars? Oh, he's trans. Why did he dead name Elliot then if he's trans? Like, doesn't he know the own hate of, like, dead naming? Like, you don't need to do that? What? Oh, I don't trust this guy. I don't even know who this guy is. But apparently, okay, so he's Mars, right? Was that his name? I don't know. Okay, so apparently he's trans and everything like that. So maybe she included that in there, even though he was saying the same shit that she was. It's not needed at all. Maybe she just wanted to make her video longer. Or to prove a point like, oh, some trans men individuals are seeing this trend as well. I also find this
kind of funny that this is happening a few days after the major court case in London with Cara Bell. For those who don't know, Cara Bell, the case is about gender non-conforming youth in the UK. TLDR, again, Cara Bell is a gender non-conforming lesbian who was put on testosterone because she thought she was transgender at just 16 years old, later on regretting it. In fact, statistics show that 75% of people grow out of gender dysphoria by the age of 25. This is probably because people don't reach full brain development until the age of around 25.
Also, 75% of people grow out of gender dysphoria because they are getting medical treatment to alleviate gender dysphoria. Therefore, their rates are gonna go down. Oh my god, do they not understand? Do people not analyze statistics anymore? Do they just read a statement and be like, put this in the video, this is proving my point, when in reality, it's not. It's showcasing of how medically transitioning is actually helping people with gender dysphoria. Increasing amount of individuals are being referred to the gender clinic and they're going through the program. But when you sign up for this program and stuff like that, it literally is a wait for 2 to 5 years to be even into the program to actually see a gender therapist. They don't just hand out hormones. I don't know what people really think a gender clinic is. It's not like you have one appointment and it's just they're like, okay, here are your hormones and everything like that. We're gonna start you on this dose. And what surgeries were you planning to get? Because I could refer you to a few surgeons right now. That is not the case at all. Also, if anything, if you're a young age, they usually start you off with hormone blockers, which literally is reversible and has very few side effects. It's just blocking that puberty and stuff like that, so it gives people like buying time of really questioning their identity and everything like that, and like diving deep, going to therapy and stuff like that. And it's like, once they figure out everything within themselves, they can go on hormones or just start their natural process of what their hormones were going to be.
Cara went to court
biologically.
in London this October to fight for gender nonconforming youth against the system currently put in place over in the UK that medicalizes gender nonconformity. She actually isn't looking for compensation either. She just wants to protect people like herself in the future. To quote my friend Julia's article, medical malpractice has been committed on a global scale because no one will challenge the foundational lie that this, being trans, is in fact a biological condition. And I agree with that. There is a huge difference between being, biologically transgender, having a medical condition, a brain body mix-up, whatever you want to call it, versus simply being gender non-conforming, being actually gay, lesbian, bisexual, being a tomboy, being a drag queen, being more feminine man, being a more masculine woman. These things don't make somebody transgender. It is that simple. I spoke my piece.
Yeah, no one was saying that those things were gonna make you trans. If anything, those are people who have the confusion of what actually being trans is. You have to have gender dysphoria in order to be trans. Yes, people start experimenting and stuff like that of gender identities and stuff like that through gender expression and stuff, but that's just because that's them trying to socially experiment and everything like that and seeing if they like it. See if they like to be called he, him, she, her, they, them pronouns and stuff. And it's just it's not wrong to socially experiment your gender. That is actually the first thing that we tell you guys to do if you're questioning your gender. Okay, just have a few friends call you certain pronouns that you think that you associate with, and it's see how that goes, talk to a professional and stuff like that. Trans people don't transition to become straight in any regard. That was the main thing about this topic. Personally, me, I'm bisexual, so it's I'm not within the statistics of being labeling myself as a lesbian and then turning into a man in any regard. So I don't know if people's oh, you can't talk about this matter because you weren't identifying as a lesbian, you're bisexual, so therefore it's obviously my sexuality is not associated with my gender identity at all because, I'm bisexual. It doesn't matter what part anyone has, whatever you got, I can make it work, you know what I mean? But it's I think it needs to be known that your sexual orientation has nothing to do with your gender identity at all. Just because you're a woman, loving a woman, so a lesbian, that does not mean that you have to question your identity and being wait, am I a male and everything? If anything, you're being homophobic towards yourself and your own labeling. Yes, maybe society is making you question that and everything like that to have internalized homophobia, but you know what? That's what a lot of people go through within life. They have internalized homophobia, they have internalized transphobia and stuff like that, so they do things that society is promoting and stuff like that just because they're ashamed and they just want to be accepted within society, so they do certain things and everything like that in order to hide and in order to just protect themselves, when in reality not being who they truly are. Yeah, it's not trans individuals saying that they have to transition because they're lesbians. That doesn't make any sense at all. Also, a lot of trans individuals aren't even straight. Remember back then how it was a myth that testosterone makes you gay? Okay, so I just want to read a few of her tweets as well. One in particular. If Elliot Page was always a man, why put that in quotes? I love how she's so confused of why she's being called transphobic, but yet she words things and write down things in a certain way. It's not that hard to see why you're being called transphobic. Just analyze your shit for a second here. If Elliot Page was always a man, like the far left suggests, then why aren't they angry that he didn't stay in his lane? He spoke for lesbians and identified as one for years. Why aren't they calling this lesbian appropriation? He didn't say shit about lesbian individuals. He wasn't talking shit about lesbians and stuff like that. It's not like he came as a trans man and everything and started talking and downplaying the lesbian label, how no one's truly lesbians, how they're all really just trans men hiding behind a label. Certain individuals, yes, they are trans individuals hiding behind a label because it is more socially acceptable to be gay than it is to be trans. Obviously proven, he did not want to come out as trans for a long time and everything like that because of the hate that he would potentially get and everything, and it still happened. He waited for so long and yet it still happened. People blew up and it was just we're losing our lesbians and stuff like that. And why are you mad? He literally was a lesbian icon. So it's just yes, he was hiding behind a label while questioning and figuring out who he truly was and everything, but that he didn't devalue that label at the same time. So it's why are you mad? And then, of course, this is a tweet from J.K. Rowling. Many, myself included, believe we are watching a new kind of conversion therapy for young gay people who are being set on a lifelong path of medicalization that may result in the loss of their fertility and or full sexual function. There is no scientific proof that going on hormones actually decreases your fertility. Many trans men actually can still get pregnant and everything like that if they still have sexual parts and everything in order to conceive child. And also, like, many individuals, they actually, like, freeze their eggs or sperm before going through surgeries and stuff like that, so they can actually have natural genetic children later on in life. No, it's not really decreasing their fertility or full sexual function. I don't know what she means by full sexual function. I don't know if, like, she means, like, actually just having sex, because, like, no, it does not. But sexual function is just, like, so you're literally diminishing the value of trans individuals, because you're basically saying, by full sexual function, you're saying females are meant to be female throughout time. They cannot do anything to their body and stuff like that. They're supposed to procreate and everything. It's just so funny how people just, like, keep on using that defense of, like, oh, humans are just meant to procreate, but then they're like, oh, we need a new plague and everything like that. There's too many humans. And it's like, wouldn't you be, like, more accepting of gay couples and just, like, of trans individuals then? But one last thing from Arielle. She always has this thing about, like, the community turning back on each other and stuff like that, and how, like, one is always attacking the other and stuff. She did a poll of who are the biggest bullies in the LGBT community. Lesbians and gay, bisexuals, trans people, or queer allies. I really think that she was trying to make it of, like, trans people are the bullies of the LGBTQ plus community and stuff like that, being like, oh, you're not true lesbians. But queer allies won, which honestly I don't think anyone's really a bully within the community and everything like that. If anything, the bullies are people that are, like, gatekeeping, telling you, like, what is trans, what is a lesbian, and stuff like that. Those are basically the bullies, but in any sense, like, the queer allies may be seen as the bullies just because certain queer allies don't know everything within the community, but, like, hey, they're trying in certain regards maybe and stuff like that, so it's just like maybe that's why they're seen as the bullies. But it's just so weird because, like, when I was a kid, it was just like, it was always said, like, the LGBTQ plus community was like a family. It was like home for, like, individuals who were just, like, not seen as, like, mentally there and just, like, not right for society and just, like, just seen as a basket case and stuff like that. So it's just really sad to see throughout time that, like, the community is, like, turning its back on each other and stuff like that and being like, no, you're wrong, or oh, you're taking away our lesbians and stuff like that. And it's just like, oh, that's not really what trans is and stuff like that. And it's just like, it's just weird where society has come to and everything like that, where, like, everyone's just turning their backs on each other and just blaming each other for certain things. It has been stated within society so many times that, like, that trans people are the issue in, like, in certain regards, but the thing is, it's just like, trans people aren't really the issue. It's the people that are transphobic that are using the trans label and stuff like that in order to backbone, like, their problem and stuff like that. So it's like, why don't we make those people accountable? Why are we taking it out on the trans community and stuff like that, when in fact certain things are happening because certain people are just transphobic and using trans individuals and the lack of education that the community has on trans individuals and stuff like that to do what they want to do. That's all I'm going to be saying on the topic for right now. I hope you guys like this video. Please comment down below your thoughts on this matter and stuff like that. It's very an interesting topic and stuff like that, but I really don't see the problem with why that the rates of people going to gender clinics is a bad thing. If anything, it's showing that the system is working and that more people are just, like, getting the help that they need and everything like that. And yes, there is a rise just because it's becoming more socially acceptable in certain regards. Yes, it's not as socially acceptable to be a trans woman as it is to be a trans man and everything, but that's just because we need more advocates and everything like that. It is probably mainly a lot of AFABs that are online spreading the message of what gender identity actually is and what it actually means to transition and stuff, and it's just like, yeah, we do need more AMAB advocates within our community and stuff, and it's just like, we need to educate people more, and we need to actually do these videos where we're debunking what these people are saying. It is impacting a lot within society. So yeah, please share your thoughts down below. Please subscribe. Look at the statistics. And if you find yourself watching multiple of my videos, might as well subscribe and everything. And don't forget to click that bell so you get notifications whenever I upload a new video. And yeah, I upload whenever I can, but you can always expect important updates on my transition. Alright, see you guys.